Welcome back, chismosas de chismosos. So in today's video, I'm gonna be asking my mom some questions. She only speaks Spanish, so I'm gonna be asking her the questions in Spanish, but I'm gonna be here to translate in English. I'm gonna be asking my mom questions about her childhood, and I just feel like this would be a good video to make because by you guys getting to know my mom and her childhood and how she was raised, that will let you guys know how I was raised and will let you guys get to know me a little bit better. And I think that people are the way they are because of like their life experiences. So I'm always curious to know like people's childhood because I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It's like kind of like the psychology behind like who the person is. What people have been through always makes sense as to why people are the way they are. And I just wanted to give you guys a disclaimer or two. The first disclaimer is going to be about the quality of the video. I had my really small ring lights, like literally the size of like the mirror that people use to like do their makeup, but yeah, like the quality was really bad. I was recording on my phone too at my mom's house. Like it was just like a spontaneous video. The audio is gonna be bad. I also wanted to give you the second disclaimer is that my mom's friend showed up out of nowhere and she was like in the background, and I guess it was a good thing that she showed up because she was holding my baby while I did my mom's makeup. And the last but not least disclaimer is that, girl, I'm pasty as heck. And I'm over here thinking that my mom's lighter than she really is. So I thought my foundation would match her. So I started putting my foundation on her and I'm pale AF, like paper white. So it was not like her right color. And then I was like, okay, go get your foundation, which I should have done to begin with. I was lazy, so I didn't wipe off my makeup. I just was trying to put her foundation over mine. I thought the foundations would even out and like her darker foundation would like overpower mine, but I guess hers is like very light coverage and mine is full coverage, so like it just didn't work out. And I was just like, whatever, like I'm too lazy to like take everything off and like start over, so I just like worked with it. And like it's really hard to do makeup on like mature skin, so like it didn't come out the way I was hoping, but at the end of the day my mom still liked the makeup and she felt beautiful, so that's all that mattered.
Ya empezar el video.
A ver, ¿qué va a ser? ¿Puros maquillajes?
Le voy a hacer maquillaje y también te voy a preguntar cosas. Voy a hablar de cuando estabas chiquita, ¿con quién? I let my mom know that we were going to be starting off with questions from her childhood. So, cuando estabas chiquita, ¿con quién vivías?
Con mi abuelita.
I asked her, when you were little, who did you live with? She said, with my grandmother. ¿Y cuántos años tenías cuando tu mamá te dejó con tu abuelita?
Yo vivía como unos 6 años.
I asked her, how old were you when your mom left you with your grandma? She said she was 6 years old. ¿Y cómo era tu relación con tu mamá? ¿Sí tenías relación con ella?
Sí.
I asked her what was her relationship like with her mom, and did she have a relationship with her mom since she lived with her grandma? She said that she did. And como vivías con tu abuelita y todavía te iba a visitar tu mamá?
Pues sí, yo iba a verla. Vivíamos en el mismo rancho.
I asked her, so since you lived with your grandma, did your mom go visit you? My mom said, yes, we lived in the same ranch. ¿Y cuando estabas chiquita, fuiste a la escuela?
Sí, fui, pero fui poquito.
I asked her if she went to school when she was little. She said she did go, but she only went a little bit. ¿Allá en México tienes que pagar para ir a la escuela?
No, yo no pagaba antes uno.
I asked her if in Mexico you have to pay to go to school, and she said that back in the day you didn't have to pay. Entonces, ¿por qué nomás fuiste
Porque no me mandaron a la escuela. Porque no me mandaban a la escuela mi abuelita, por eso.
So I asked, like, basically, like, if you didn't have to pay, then why didn't you go? And she said they just didn't send me to school. I take it as they didn't enforce it. ¿Tu abuelita no te mandaba porque ella quería que tú trabajaras? ¿O nomás porque no podía llevarte a la escuela?
No, nomás porque no me mandaba, pues yo me iba sola ahí a la escuela.
I asked her, did your grandma not enforce you going to school because did she want you to work, or could she just not take you to school, or like what was the reason? She said no, they just didn't take me. Like, basically, if she wanted to go to school, like, she would take herself to school. Pero dijiste que nomás fuiste como al grado 3. ¿Por qué no fuiste? Nomás porque no querías ir.
Porque no fui ya.
I said, you had told me before that you only made it to grade 3. So why did you only make it to grade 3? Did you just not go because you didn't want to go? She said, I just didn't go and that's it. Nomás porque tú ya no fuiste.
Sí.
Y ya que estás como... Ya que estás más mayor, ¿ya te arrepientes de ir a la escuela?
Sí, me arrepiento. Pero pues ya no puedo hacer nada.
I asked her, now that you're older, do you regret not going to school? She said, yes, I regret it, but there's nothing I can do about it anymore. Y cuando tuviste tu primer hija cuando tenías 15 años, ¿verdad?
16.
16?
Yeah.
I refer to, like, my oldest sister, her first daughter, as her first daughter just for the purpose of the video. So I asked her, like, when you had your first daughter, you were 15 years old, right? And she said, no, I was 16. ¿Y qué dijo tus papás que... Pero, ¿tu papá estaba en tu vida o no?
No, él no estaba. Él se murió cuando yo estaba chiquita, como unos 3 años.
I asked her if her father was in her life, and she said no, that he passed away when she was little, when she was about 3 years old. And I kind of felt bad after this question because you can see that, like, her mood, like, kind of changed, and you can see that she's, like, really thinking, like, in deep thoughts, and, like, I feel like that question kind of, like, got to her and made her sad.
Yo no lo conocí.
Por eso tu papá se murió, por eso tu abuelita no te dejó ir con tu mamá cuando se casó otra vez.
Sí, me dejó con ella.
In the past, my mom has told me that her mother was, like, remarrying after her dad passed away, and that before my mom's dad passed away, that he would always tell my mom's grandma, which is his mom, take care of her, like, I get that she's special. Like, I guess my mom would say that, like, her grandma would tell her, oh, like, your dad would tell me to take care of you because you're special. And, like, I guess when my mom's mom was remarrying, that my mom's grandma, her dad's mom, didn't want my mom's mom to take her to her new marriage, to her new home. So that's why my mom was left with the grandma, because my mom says that the grandma wouldn't let her go. Tuviste tu primer hija cuando tenías 16 años, ¿y qué dijo tu mamá y tu abuelita cuando tuviste tu hija?
No, pues no dijeron nada.
I said, since you had your first daughter at 16 years old, like, what did your mom or grandma say about that? She said nothing. They didn't say anything. ¿Nomás te apoyaron o no?
Pues sí, yo vivía con mis hermanas.
I asked, they just supported you or no? She said yes, they supported her. At the time that she had her first daughter, she was, like, already living on her own with her sisters. ¿Y tus hermanas te ayudaron a cuidar a tu bebé?
Sí.
¿Trabajabas?
Sí, trabajaba.
I asked her if her sisters helped her take care of her first daughter since she was so young. She said yes. And then her friend in the background asked her, "Did you work?" And my mom laughed, and then I was like, "Oh, that's a good question." So then I asked her, like, "Did you work?" And my mom said yes, that she would work.
No, ¿cómo trabajabas?
Pues trabajaba, me vine para acá, para Tijuana, y luego de ahí conocí a mi ex y ya. Y luego nos dejamos y duré 5 años ahí, me vine para acá, para aquí a California. Luego viví en Salinas y en Fresno y ya me quedé aquí.
So then she kind of didn't really tell me what exactly she did for work, but she said that at first she lived in like Nueva Italia, Mexico, and then she went to like Tijuana, and then she met like her second baby daddy. And then she lasted 5 years in Tijuana, and then she came to California, and that is when I met your father. And basically she's been living all around California. Y como cuando tuviste a tu primera hija, ¿era difícil para trabajar o cómo le hiciste?
Pues mi hermana me la cuidaba y yo trabajaba.
I asked her if when she had her first daughter, if it was difficult for her to go to work, and like how did she do it. She said that her sister would watch her daughter for her, and then she would go to work. ¿Y qué hacías para trabajo?
Trabajaba en un restaurante.
I asked her what she did for work, and she said that she worked in a restaurant. ¿Tú la cuidaste hasta que era como teenager? Cuando tenía, hasta que ya tenía como 15 años. ¿Tú la cuidaste sola?
Cuando estaba chiquita, porque me la cuidó mi hermana.
Oh,
Y
entonces,
ya después yo me vine para acá, para Tijuana, y acá trabajé. Y luego ya después me la traje para acá conmigo.
I was asking my mom like if she took care of her daughter like all by herself. So my mom had 2 daughters in Mexico, and I was asking my mom like if she took care of we're still on the topic of her first daughter, and I was asking her if that when she had her first daughter, that if she took care of her all by herself, because I know that my mom eventually came to the US, but she didn't bring her 2 daughters that she had in Mexico. So when she got to California, she met my dad. She like settled down with him, had me and 2 other children, and then she brought the youngest daughter. And the reason why I said you took care of your daughter, until she was 15 years old is because I know my sister was 15 when my mom had left. But since my mom left, my sister got married in Mexico at the age of 15. It's just such a complicated, long story. But basically, my mom finally had the money to bring both of her daughters. And one of them was older. One of them was already 15 years old. She had already got married. She didn't want to leave her husband. And she had also had a child at 15 years old. So she already had her whole life in Mexico. So she didn't want to come. So she did bring her younger daughter. And then at this point, like, I met her younger daughter that she had in Mexico. And like, yeah, so we lived like as a family. And then it was like hella weird because like my dad got deported, and then we like moved to like a whole different city because where we lived, like, it's only my dad's family. The whole timeline is still a little bit confusing for me because I still haven't gotten the chance to ask my mom like every single little detail. But basically, my mom had 2 children in Mexico, and when it was time for my mom to bring them to the US, the oldest daughter was already married and had a child and was 15 years old, and the younger child was around 5. And then when my mom brought the younger child to the US, my mom had 3 children, And then my mom lived with my dad for about 10 years. And then when my dad got deported, I was 3 years old. And when my dad got deported, my mom felt alone. So then we moved to where we live now. And because her side of the family's over here. And then out of nowhere, girl, some lady shows up with her husband and hella kids. And they just came from Mexico. And my mom's like, this is your sister. And all of us are like, what? Where did she come from? Because none of us knew we had a sister. Cuando tuviste a tu primera hija, ¿sí vivías con su papá o no?
No.
¿Nunca estaban juntos?
No.
I ended up asking my mom that if when she had her first daughter, if she lived with her first daughter's father, like if they were like boyfriend and girlfriend living together. And she said no. ¿Y no te dijo nada tu mamá o tu abuelita que no estabas casada?
No, ya no. No se metieron conmigo para nada.
I asked, did your mom and grandma not say anything that you guys weren't married? And she said no, they never like told me anything about anything. ¿Sí conocías a la familia del señor?
Sí.
I asked her if she knew her baby daddy's family, and she said yes. ¿Y qué te dijeron ellos?
No, no me hicieron.
I asked, what did his family say? She said nothing.
Nomás la llevaba que la miraran ahí.
She said they wouldn't tell me anything. I would just take my daughter to see them. That's it. Oh, ¿sí te apoyaron?
Sí.
I asked if they were supportive, and she said yes. ¿Y ella sí conoce a su papá?
Sí lo conoció ella.
I asked my mom if her first daughter knew who her dad was, and she said yeah, that she knew her dad. And I asked her that because my second to oldest sister doesn't know who her dad is, and like she doesn't remember her dad, doesn't even know what he looks like, doesn't even have a picture of him, because she was, like I said, 5 years old when she came to the US, lost contact with him. Y luego te separaste con él y luego tuviste con el papá de tu segunda hija?
Sí.
So now I asked my mom, so you separated from your first daughter's father and then you met your second daughter's father? And she said yes. Y luego con él también estabas casada con él o no?
No.
And I asked her, with him, were you married or like living with him? And she said no. Y luego no. Y luego con él tampoco no se llevaron bien y luego ya te viniste para los Estados Unidos?
Sí.
I asked, you didn't get along with him either, and then that's when you came to the US? And she said yes. Y luego cuando te viniste para los Estados Unidos, ¿cuánto duró tiempo para conocer a mi papá?
Luego lo conocí.
I asked, when you came to the US, how long did it take for you to meet my dad? She got hella nervous and started laughing, and she said, well, I met him hella quick. ¿Y mi papá sí se quiso casar contigo?
Pues duré 10 años con él, pero no nos pudimos casar.
I asked my mom, did my dad want to get married with you? And she said, I was with him for 10 years and we never got to get married. And then he got deported. Pero él sí. Él es el único que sí viviste con él, ¿verdad?
Sí.
I asked her, was he the only one that you lived with? And she said yes. ¿Sentiste que mi papá sí te amaba o no?
Pues sí, porque lo conocí, ya no quiso que trabajara.
I asked my mom, did you feel like my dad really loved you? And she said, yeah, because when I met him, he didn't want me to work anymore. Like, basically my dad was like providing for her and like didn't want her to work. Él sí te cuidó.
Sí.
Y luego lo deportaron.
Lo reportaron y ya no sabían.
I said, and then they deported him, and she said, yeah, then they deported him and he never came back. Cuando lo deportaron, cuando lo echaron para atrás para México, ¿ya estuviste sola?
Sí.
I asked her, so after my dad got deported, then you stayed single? And she said yes.
Duré sola un tiempo.
She said, yes, I was alone for a while. Girl, and then this is the part where you can hear my mom's friends saying, I'm gonna give him my boobs. And I was like, ya, ahorita, ya vamos a acabar. Ahorita le doy porque ya vamos a acabar.
Ay, viejo feo, no llores tú.
Yo me acuerdo que ya cuando te dejaste con mi papá, nos movimos de ciudad y luego ya nunca te casaste.
Sí, pues.
Hasta ahorita que ya estamos grandes.
Yeah.
I was telling my mom that after my dad got deported, we moved cities and she never settled down with anybody else. And she said, that's right.
Pues no quise yo juntarme con nadie ya cuando ustedes estaban chiquitos porque yo no quería que les fueran a hacer malas caras con el que yo me juntara, por eso decidí mejor cuando estaban grandes ustedes.
¿No querías que nos hicieran qué?
Malas caras.
¿Qué es eso?
O sea, que le hicieran, pues...
Como que los hombres como no los quería como sus propios hijos.
Sí.
Pero eso está bien que no te casaste porque hay otras personas que prefieren al hombre más que sus hijos.
Sí, pues. Pero yo no, yo pensé eso.
Eso es una cosa que sí, como que era bien para que nosotros mirábamos porque yo miré que tú nunca poniste su nombre antes de tus hijos.
Sí, y todavía. Y aunque estén grandes, de todos modos los voy mucho.
I told my mom that was very important for us to see as women, that my mom never got another boyfriend, never remarried, because there's other women that don't really care about how that will affect their children and they put the man before their children. My mom said that she never wanted to get with another man and bring him into our home because she didn't want the man to be making faces towards us, like treating us different because we're not his children. And she said that she would rather wait until we were already older to find someone to settle down with.
Ay, bebé.
Mira cómo se mira.
7. 7.
Anyways, that was it for the video. I wanted to ask her so many more questions, but we were kind of running out of time because my mom and her friend had something to do. I wanted to ask her more questions about like us and like how it was like raising 4 children on her own, because she had 5 children, but my older sister was already like old and married, not old, but like older and married. So I wanted to ask her more questions about like how it was raising us, what it was like finally starting to date, and like just more questions. But maybe like I'll do a part 2 if you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments down below what kind of questions you would like me to ask her. What else do you want me to talk about? Do you guys want me to bring one of my sisters and hear her perspective of us growing up? Like we literally, our whole lives, like we lived in renting garages in one, like all of us in one room. We lived always moving around, like renting one room here, one room there. It was just like very unstable. I had to move like schools all the time. That's why like a lot of people like know me and then they see me and they say hi to me, and then I feel like happy that people come up to me and say hi to me, but I feel so freaking rude because I'm like, wait, like where did I meet you from? Like I know you, I remember you, but like I just don't remember where I met you from. And I like to know where I met people from because I just like to remember, like if that makes sense. Like I just want to know. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, comment, and subscribe. Bye. Love you guys.